future. All we really have is today. We just have today, over and over and over again, the eternal return, the hero's journey. And Trump is on his hero's journey. But best believe, we are going to make America great. Now the thing is, another thing is black people have an issue with the word again. And I believe my feeling from that is because I'm going to go all the way Sigmund with it, because time is a minute. All we have is now, all we have is today. So the word again, it doesn't hurt us because of the idea of racism and slavery and different things. It hurts us because we need to focus on who we are now, today. I believe. So I actually brought some hats in that have a bit of a transition. I'm not trying to put you up your spot a little bit. I made a hat that says "Make America Great." Just that. But I would love to see, at the Super Bowl, Trump wearing the "Make America Great" hat, Colin wearing the "Make America Great," and showing that we can bend a bit on this side, we can bend a bit on this side, and we can learn how to be malleable in the infinite universe that we are and the loving beings that we are. That we don't have to stick to all traditions. And we aren't a side. We are one unit. We are one country. We are one moment in history and time. We might have been here before, but right now, we're here together. And the greatest value that people have are other people. And we need to stop working on red and blue. It's like a gang again.
Let me ask you this question. You're in the Oval Office. Okay. How does it feel to be in the Oval Office?
Oh, it is good energy in this.
Isn't it good energy? Yeah.
It's good energy.
It's a great place. Jim, how do you feel?
I feel good.
Yeah.
I truly feel good. I thank you too.
You're so respected. And what Kanye is doing has been incredible. All over the world they're talking about this. And I have to tell you, I had important meetings today with senators and with everything. Nobody cared. They wanted this meeting. This is the meeting. Is that right? I can say that to John. No, the others were good, right? But this is what they want.
Maybe only you would be there.
Well, it's my honor, Jim. I want to tell you, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. A long time. Nobody like you. Nobody like you. No athlete like you.
Well, you know why I'm here? I'm here to serve.
Yeah, it's really nice, man.
I'm not here to ask for anything.
Well, and you know, that's always been the way Jim has been for a long time. And he just wanted to help, and it's something special. Jennifer, did you have a question?
I guess, what do you feel about Tom Crisp? Or
Well, we're going to look at it. I'm open to everything. Hey, look, I think it's a shame what's happening in Chicago.
What else can be done?
I'm in Chicago a lot, too. I have nice things in Chicago. You know that, right? And I hate to see what's happening. They're having numbers of people being shot and killed, and it's not for this country. So they have to do something, and I am totally open. If we can do it a different way, Kanye, I'm totally open. But they have to do, I mean, we all agree they have to do something, that's for sure.
Mr. President, is it a law enforcement issue, a legislation?
Well, maybe it's a combination of both. I guess it is, but I think it's probably a combination of both. And it's also a respect issue. They respect this guy, they respect this guy. That's a big thing. Right now, they're not respecting, let's say, your mayor or let's say your leadership in Chicago, but certainly it shouldn't be happening. What's going on there should not be happening. Steve, go ahead.
What do you want this meeting to lead to in terms of
honestly, from our standpoint, this was just set up to be a lunch of two people that I like, and I guess they like me. And we're going to have lunch, we're going to talk.
You said, yes, you know I love you.
I know. But I don't want to put you in that spot. But.
No, I'm standing in that spot. I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug. I love this guy right here.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Come here. Yeah. That's really nice. And that's from the heart. I didn't want to put you in that position, you know, but that's from the heart. Special guy. These two are special people. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, they're special people. And I appreciate it. Jim, Kanye, I appreciate it. So let's go have some lunch. Okay? Thank you all very much.
All right, guys, let's go. Make your way out.
Thank you.
Right, John, huh?
Appreciate it.
And you've just been watching rap artist Kanye West, who has been on an American stage or two around the country here recently.
There was a little bit of profanity. There was actually more than you heard. We were able to bleep some of it out, but there was some of it did make it in there. That was crazy. That was
crazy.
bonkers. I mean, the things that Kanye said.
Can I go with my favorite?
Yeah.
How he talked about he had a lack of male role models
Right.
in his life growing up.
Not a lot of male energy in his house.
The reason
he
he was drawn to MAGA was because of the male power.
When he put that cap on, he felt like a guy who could play catch with his
because he didn't have that opportunity, which was stunning. You know, and he also said, you know, a lot of African Americans out there, they don't like the again. They don't like make America great again. And the reason being, if you are anything but a white male, historically, life wasn't better for you than it is in the current moment. It's stunning, Ali, that just took place. And even that the president would say, this was just supposed to be a lunch. That's an outright lie. I spoke to the White House myself several days ago, and I had said to them, like, guys, do you know how unpredictable Kanye is? And they said, guess what? So are we. This was absolutely a press opportunity.
I think that went down the way you would think, actually, a meeting between the president and Kanye West. Jim Brown was there, by the way. Kanye West said blacks really get caught up in the idea of racism over the idea of industry. His comment to fight police brutality is to release the love. And he said there should be in Chicago Yeezy ideation centers. That's going to
Yeezy, which is the namesake of his Adidas sneakers. He said that the MAGA sentiment is what gave him the balls to go for it and make so much money with Adidas. I'm just stunned across the board. You?
I thought we were going to have I thought they were going to have a conversation, which we would follow up on, in part on criminal justice reform, sentencing, and prisons, which is, by the way, a bipartisan, really important idea. That was mostly nonsense, but there were some things in there that probably are worth discussing. And the person who drew the short straw to join us to discuss this is White House correspondent for PBS NewsHour, Yamiche Elsindor, who has a look on her face who says, "I've done some crazy stuff in the last 2 years, and this ranks right high up on the list of crazy stuff that we are about to analyze that conversation."
So can I just ask
of what was intended? Yeah. You know, Rick's right. I agree with him. The problem is the instant reaction. The same instant visceral reaction some will have to see in Kanye West sitting there with President Trump. They have an automatic assumption. They had an automatic assumption. I don't doubt for a minute that there are areas Kanye West and the president differ.
No, but they agree on a whole lot,
clearly
too.
there are areas where they agree. And how have we actually made advancements on rights where we agree in this country? But there are many on the left who don't want that to be the case.
And why don't they get called racist? You don't have to answer that, because I want to hear from Kanye West again, talk about jobs, one of those areas where we can agree. Watch this.
This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America.
He has to be the freshest, the flyest. David?
I mean, that's the lingo. That's the language. Look, I started back in the days, I know this will shock a lot of people, of Rapper's Delight and Kool and the Gang, the early days of rap and music, and I grew up in the music world. The language matters because it's the language that reflects the very community he's talking about. I worked with guys like the Ghetto Boys and Willie D when people thought conservatives, black and black, shouldn't exist with liberals.
Oh, that's
it's ridiculous, but he's speaking to the people who understand the need and the problem.
Do I get to match this? I was Young MC's lawyer and Delight Records.
Oh, my goodness.
How about that?
What do you think it communicates to not just to people on your side of the aisle, but around the country this close to midterm elections, to see Kanye West sit there and talk with the president about jobs creation and all these things?
Well, I hope it's a good thing. We get a little bit crazy. Everybody got crazy when Taylor Swift came out with her comments. It appears that all she did was drive more voter registration. I can't tell you who those people are going to vote for, but I love the fact that they registered to vote. Vote however you want to vote. Kanye West is somebody who's paid attention to. Why shouldn't he have an opinion? And why shouldn't he get
things he has opinions about? Prison reform. Those are things that the president considers important.
But here's the thing. Those are things.
The Department doesn't.
But those are things the community cares about. And this is something we have to separate the public and political narrative. Kanye and all the people who've grown up in these underserved communities, they know the issues because they grew up and lived with them. They finally have a president who steps out and talks about them, and now how do they bring it together?
All right. David Webb, Rick Unger, thank you very much. The breaking news with Kanye West inside the Oval Office and the president, you're watching it on Overtime. Eric Holder and Hillary Clinton have been suggesting Democrats do away with civility in politics. Some reaction to that next.
It's a disgusting statement for him to make. They have to be careful with the rhetoric because it's very dangerous what Holder says. When Holder was held in contempt by Congress,
says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
Some high-profile Democrats appear to be rejecting Michelle Obama's call for civility in politics. Former Attorney General Eric Holder, Hillary Clinton, both drawing criticism for suggesting their political party can no longer afford to play nice. Mark Lauder joins me now, former special assistant to President Trump and former press secretary for Vice President Pence. Boy, I tell you, the moment could not be more serious on the heels of Congresswoman Maxine Waters calling for verbal attacks against people who don't think the way she does. This could spiral. What do you think?
Absolutely, and I think it's going to alienate people in the middle. You've got the partisan sides on both sides that are fairly entrenched right now, but if you're a moderate, if you used to be what they call the blue dog Democrat or just someone who's independent, and you look at the angry mob taken over by socialists now encouraging violence just because of their opposition to President Trump, I think it's going to push many people away.
So, you know, Mark, I've been reading today in blogs and other places where people are saying, oh, you're making too much out of it, calling it a mob. Did you see Senator Ted Cruz and his wife at that restaurant in Texas, surrounded? Have you seen some of these events where people are surrounded? The congressional baseball game, Steve Scalise. It is easy for words to become more if people are incited. What do you think?
I absolutely agree, and I agree with what the president said when he called this kind of rhetoric dangerous. We have to learn to be able to disagree and be agreeable, and we've talked about this for a long time, but I think this is actually going to open so many people's eyes, and you and I have talked about this before, Harris. I always thought 2018 was going to come down to results versus resistance. And I think now we've seen that on display. I was traveling with the vice president yesterday when he was campaigning in Wisconsin. I didn't see anger. I saw energy. I saw the same thing a few weeks ago when I went with the president to a rally in Indiana. Republicans aren't angry. They're energized. And all we've seen on the other side now is resistance. And I have to think that more and more people are just going to be, they're going to be pushed away by it.
You know, you started off with Democrats, and that's where I want to go now. The former First Lady, imagine how she feels having to defend her original comment, when they go low, we go high. Watch it.
Fear is not it's not a proper motivator. Hope wins out. And if you think about how you want your kids to be raised, how you want them to think about life and their opportunities. Do you want them afraid of their neighbors? Do you want them angry? Do you want them vengeful? Which motto do you want them to live by?
Whew. Those are fighting words, Mark. I mean, you talk about pushing people away from the polls. How about pushing away some of the highest profile Democrats from the cause, if you will?
I agree, and you can't argue. I mean, President Obama and Mrs. Obama were always great with the soaring rhetoric of hope and change. We've got a president now who's backing that up with action, but what we've seen it do to the other side, they are turning away those moderate people, many of the people who voted for President Obama and re-elected President Obama. You saw them come to President Trump because they wanted change. They didn't want to just hear about it, they wanted change. And then when you see them being pushed out by the leaders of their own party and really the radicals as they run to socialism, you have to wonder if they look up and go, where's the Democratic Party I used to belong to or I used to occasionally support? It doesn't exist anymore.
All right, real quickly, I'm just getting this alert now. Eric Holder has just tweeted during this program as we speak. Okay, stop the fake outrage. This is Eric Holder. I'm obviously not advocating violence. In fact, when I was AG, violent crime in the U.S. was historically low. I'm saying Republicans are undermining our democracy and Democrats need to be tough, proud, and stand up for the values we believe in. The end. A tweet. Moment.
Welcome retort from him.
Mark Lauder, thank you. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Harris.
without utilities right now across the state of Florida after Hurricane Michael slammed into the Panhandle. Joining us now, Daniel Kanuski, Deputy Administrator for FEMA. And it is so important to have you and your time right now. So, Daniel, thank you. Your specialty is taking a look at the insurance part of the puzzle. And people have lost so much that those insurance applications, I would imagine, are about to fly. What information can you give us?
That's right. Well, we at FEMA right now are focused on life safety missions, which is search and rescue today in Florida especially, but also up through Georgia. Georgia was actually impacted quite a bit with that Category 3 hurricane. But yes, insurance is important, and unfortunately, too few people have flood insurance. In fact, what we saw in North Carolina just a few weeks ago with Hurricane Florence was that only 3% of homeowners had flood insurance in North Carolina. Now, unfortunately, we're likely to see much of the same in the Panhandle of Florida. Unfortunately, FEMA is going to have to be there to provide financial assistance, but it's not going to make these disaster survivors whole. Insurance does. Our programs provide a few $1,000s, but that's not enough to rebuild a home.
Wow, or a business. I mean, we saw entire swaths of businesses, their buildings, their livelihood, and there was one gentleman who owned a mattress store, and everything in it was destroyed. The human element of this, we have been so blessed, the death toll to record 2 people, and we mourn their loss. We hope that there won't be more, but the landscape change, the business change, people's livelihoods wiped away in a historic storm. Daniel, what are you seeing in terms of people reaching out at this point?
Well, first, if you see the images on TV, it looks a lot more like a tornado striking an area.
Yeah.
Now, a tornado, of course, is usually a much more constrained area, but what you're seeing is essentially a tornado hit a massive area. Buildings completely leveled, like you said, homes and businesses, and it's not just going to take days or weeks to come back. This is a many year recovery that we have ahead of us.
All right, I'm going to put up information from FEMA on my social media platforms so people know those hotline numbers. Real quickly before I let you go, long-term shelters are being set up. What is that situation like?
Well, first, I would encourage people to register at disasterassistance.gov. The president has made available individual assistance to those impacted in Florida. But 2, to your point, yeah, sheltering. We will be providing short-term sheltering. Transitional sheltering assistance will be authorized here in the next couple of days to provide hotel rooms to those who don't have a home to go back to. But the American Red Cross is a tremendous partner of ours, and they have shelters open and available before, during, and after this hurricane. I encourage everybody to reach out.
Thank you.
Get to somewhere that's safe, that has power.
All right.
And take care.
We'll be right back.
Very much. And thank you to Ivanka for